Chapter 1. You are listening at FameTV.com. Chapter 1. Confessing in Public Translator. Mr. Voltaire Editor. Master Shadow Ding, the Hedonist sovereign system has issued a quest. Make Zhao Lingxian have a favorable impression of you. Quest time limit. 3 months, 7 days have passed. Successfully completing the quest will result in you formally opening the Hedonist sovereign system and gaining 3 lottery chances. Failing will reduce the host's lifespan by 3 years. Go screw yourself. Qin Feng was lying on his desk and happily playing on his phone when a cold electronic voice sounded out in his mind. He was so shocked that his mouth furiously twitched and he jumped up from his seat, cursing out loud. He was currently in his art class at the lecture hall and all the other students were engaged in the lesson. Their gazes were all attracted by his sudden outburst and they looked at him in curiosity. The incredibly quiet and constrained atmosphere of the lecture hall immediately burst into noise. The lecturer for this art class was the Acropolis University's publicly acknowledged #1 beautiful teacher, Yun Xiao. She was 25 years old and was at the peak of her beauty. She wasn't much older than the rest of her university students, so she found it difficult to contain problem students during her classes. She had finally managed to control the atmosphere when it had been disrupted once again by Qin Feng. Yun Xiao glared at him furiously and wished that she could bite him to death. Soon, her perfect face calmed down, though her eyes were still filled with iciness. She stood up straight with her slim and beautiful legs, her large chest heaving as she did her best to control her emotions. Phew. Finally, Yun Xiao let out a long breath, but didn't explode into anger. After all, who was Qin Feng? A young master hedonist who was famous throughout the entire Acropolis University. He had an extraordinary background and was a lady killer. His father, Xuanhuan, was the richest man in Acropolis City and invested money every year to expand the university. As the honorary principal's son, she couldn't do anything about him, no matter how unbridled his actions were. Qin Feng, please obey the class rules. All right, everyone calm down. Let's continue. Yun Xiao glowered at Qin Feng, but she was at her wit's end with this young master hedonist. She suppressed the discontent within her and continued to lecture. Qin Feng didn't pay any attention to Yun Xiao's words and paid even less attention to the strange stares that people were shooting him. After mumbling to himself angrily, he sat back on his seat as if nothing had happened. However, his eyebrows remained frowned. Fudge, the hell is this? Could this young master really have been possessed by a spirit? It was the 7th day. It was the 7th day since Qin Feng had started hearing that voice in his head. He would hear that cold electronic voice in his head every day and the content was the same every time. It would always tell him to make Zhao Lingxian have a favorable impression of him. Qin Feng inwardly laughed. Rubbish, this was a complete truckload of rubbish. After all, who was Zhao Lingxian? Zhao Lingxian was the most beautiful girl in the Acropolis University's arts department and had a remarkable background. She was a Miss Perfect, who was fair-skinned, rich and beautiful. She was a goddess who was out of everyone's reach and someone who almost every guy at the Acropolis University dreamed of. However, this was completely different with Qin Feng. A week ago, he had publicly announced at the Acropolis University campus that he was canceling the marriage between Zhao Lingxian and himself. Marriage. How could a young master hedonist like Qin Feng agree to such a thing? Who cares if you're a goddess or a succubus? Marriage was simply a prison. Qin Feng absolutely didn't want to get married and ruin the rest of his romantic life. Sleeping around and enjoying the pleasures of life was what this young master Qin Feng wanted. As such, telling him to make Zhao Lingxian have a favorable impression of him was simply ridiculous. He had dumped her in public, so he was absolutely certain that she would rather get together with a gorilla than have a favorable impression of him. In fact, she probably wanted to kill Qin Feng. Looks like my kidney deficiency has been making me have delusions. I'll have to do some proper recovering when I get back. Qin Feng evilly smiled and shook his head, clearing his mind of all the messy thoughts. He then looked to Lin Bei Bei sitting next to him and his smile grew wider. An absolute angelic beauty. Amen. Lin Bei, who was intently focused on the lesson, suddenly felt a large hand land on her leg. She was so shocked that she almost cried out and she hurriedly tried to move away. She turned her teary eyes to look at Qin Feng's grinning face. Bei, why are you sitting so far away? Don't fall down. Qin Feng moved closer to Lin Bei and sniffed her neck, causing her to move halfway off her chair. Her pitiful look would melt even the most unsympathetic heart. Young Master Qin, please spare me. My family's poor, I'm ugly, and I have an ordinary body. There's nothing good about me. Qin Feng was the #1 hedonist of the Acropolis University. Although he had no evil intentions, he was incredibly flirtatious. According to the rumors, he had slept with hundreds of women. A young master hedonist like Qin Feng was someone who a poor, pure girl like Lin Bei feared the most. He was like a demon from hell. Bei's quite good at joking. If you're ugly, then there aren't any women in the whole Acropolis University. If you have an ordinary body, then everyone else at the Acropolis University are pigs. Ling Bei's eyes flashed with fear and disgust. Qin Feng pretended that he didn't see, and looked up and down her body. He didn't even try to hide his wandering eyes. However, Qin Feng's words weren't just for flirting or flattery. He had seen many, many beauties, but very few could compare with Lin Bei. This, combined with her gentle and weak personality, would give any man the urge to protect her. Qin Feng had sat at the same table as her for half a year. He had put in much effort over the past half a year, but the girl simply wasn't interested in riches or power. He didn't know how to win her over. I say, Bei, why is your face so red? And it's quite hot as well. Bei, don't tell me that you're sick. While Lin Bei had her defenses lowered, Qin Feng grinned and squeezed her cheek. He knew that she would turn red and heat up when she was embarrassed, but pretended that he was concerned about her being sick. Young Master Qin, you. Lin Bei was so flustered that she couldn't react, which allowed Qin Feng to take advantage of her. She was so furious that she gnashed her teeth, but she didn't dare to anger Qin Feng because of his background. She could only ball her hands into fists, as tears of indignance started to well up in her eyes. This Qin Feng was simply too shameless. Ding, the hedonist sovereign system has issued a quest. Declare your intentions to chase after Lin Bei in public. Quest time limit. 1 day. Successfully completing the quest will result in you formally opening the hedonist sovereign system, and gaining 3 lottery chances. Failing will reduce the host's lifespan by 1 year. Qin Feng was currently grinning and preparing to touch Lin Bei's silky and cool legs again, when the cold electronic voice once again sounded out in his mind. He was so shocked that he almost fell off his chair. After a while, Qin Feng slowly recovered. He thought about the voice he had heard and his hands trembled. After mulling it over for a while, he slapped his hand onto the table and shot to his feet, loudly saying, I, Qin Feng, am declaring in front of my teacher and classmates that I am going to chase after the arts department's #2 beauty, Lin Bei. No matter if it was true or not, Qin Feng simply didn't want to gamble with 1 year of his life. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.com, direct link in the description.